Imagine this. You're stripped of everything. Your home, your family, your identity. You're thrown into a world of unimaginable suffering, where survival hangs by a thread. Now ask yourself, what keeps you going? What gives your life meaning when all hope seems lost? This isn't just a thought experiment. It's the reality Viktor Frankl faced, and it's the heartbeat of his extraordinary book, Man's Search for Meaning. Today, we're diving into a story of resilience, a philosophy of purpose, and a work that's touched millions of lives since it was first published in 1946. Buckle up. This isn't just a book review. It's a journey into the depths of the human spirit. Let's start with the man behind the book. Viktor Frankl was an Austrian psychiatrist and neurologist born in 1905. Before World War II, he was already making waves in the world of psychology, developing ideas that would later become his signature contribution, logotherapy, a form of therapy centered on finding meaning in life. But Frankl's life took a dramatic turn in 1942 when he, his wife Tilly, and his parents were deported to Nazi concentration camps. Over the next 3 years, he endured horrors most of us can't even fathom. Auschwitz, Kaufering, Turkheim. He lost his wife, his parents, and nearly his own life. Yet, from this abyss of suffering, he forged a philosophy that would not only save him, but inspire generations. Man's Search for Meaning isn't just a memoir. It's a testament to survival and a guide to finding purpose, no matter the circumstances. First published under the German title Ein Psychologe erlebt das Konzentrationslager, which translates to A Psychologist Experiences the Concentration Camp, it's divided into 2 parts: Frankl's personal account of the camps and an introduction to his psychological theory, logotherapy. Let's unpack both. Picture this. It's 1944. Frankl steps off a train into Auschwitz. The air is thick with ash, the shouts of guards pierce the silence, and prisoners are sorted, life or death, in an instant. Frankl describes this moment with chilling clarity. His possessions are taken, his clothes replaced with a tattered uniform, his name swapped for a number. He becomes 109,104. Everything that defined him as a person is gone. How do you hold on to yourself when the world reduces you to nothing? Frankl doesn't sugarcoat the brutality. He writes about starvation, prisoners given a watery soup and a scrap of bread, their bodies wasting away. He recounts the relentless labor, the beatings, the constant threat of the gas chambers. But what sets this book apart isn't just the vividness of the suffering, it's Frankl's focus on the inner life of the prisoners. He noticed something remarkable. Those who found a reason to keep going, a sliver of meaning, were more likely to survive. One man dreamed of reuniting with his child. Another held on to the hope of finishing a book. For Frankl, it was the vision of one day sharing his insights with the world. There's a haunting scene where Frankl describes a freezing march through the night. His feet are blistered, his body screams for rest, and despair creeps in. But then he imagines himself standing at a lectern, speaking to an audience about the psychology of the camps. That mental escape, that purpose, pulls him through. He writes, when a man finds that it is his destiny to suffer, he will have to accept his suffering as his task, his single and unique task. It's a gut punch of a realization. Meaning isn't found in avoiding pain, but in facing it with purpose. So what is this logotherapy that Frankl kept clinging to? In the second part of the book, he shifts from memoir to manifesto. Logotherapy, derived from the Greek word logos, meaning reason or meaning, is Frankl's answer to the question, what makes life worth living? Unlike Sigmund Freud, who saw pleasure as the driving force of human behavior, or Alfred Adler, who emphasized power, Frankl argued that our deepest need is to find meaning. And here's the kicker. Meaning isn't handed to us. It's something we discover, even in the darkest moments. Frankl lays out 3 ways we can find it: through work or deeds, through experiences or relationships, and through the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering. That last one's the game changer. He says everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Think about that. In the camps, Frankl couldn't control the guards or the hunger, but he could control how he responded. That's power. That's freedom. He illustrates this with stories from his practice too, like the elderly man who was drowning in grief after losing his wife. Frankl asked him, "What would have happened if you had died first?" The man realized his wife would have suffered terribly. By living on, he was sparing her that pain. Suddenly, his suffering had a purpose. It's not about erasing the pain, it's about reframing it. Man's Search for Meaning hit the world like a quiet thunderbolt. Since its release, it's sold over 10 million copies and been translated into dozens of languages. Why? Because it's universal. You don't have to be in a concentration camp to feel lost, to wonder what it's all for. Frankl's message resonates whether you're battling depression, chasing a dream, or just trying to get through a tough day. It's been praised by everyone from psychologists to philosophers to everyday readers who scribble life-changing in the margins. One of my favorite quotes sums it up. Those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. That's Nietzsche, whom Frankl loved to cite, but Frankl lived it, and he didn't just survive, he thrived. After the war, he remarried, had a daughter, wrote dozens of books, and lectured around the world until his death in 1997 at age 92. His legacy? A reminder that meaning isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Let's zoom out. Here we are, February 20th, 2025. The world's a messy place. Pandemics, wars, climate crises, personal struggles. Frankl's voice feels more relevant than ever. What's your why? Maybe it's your family, your art, your faith, or just the stubborn belief that tomorrow could be better. Frankl's not saying it's easy, he's saying it's possible. Take a moment. Think about a time you felt lost. What pulled you through? Or if you're in that place now, what could? Frankl's story isn't a fairy tale. It's raw, it's real, and it's a challenge. He's asking us to look suffering in the eye and say, you don't get to define me, I do. So if you haven't read Man's Search for Meaning, grab a copy. It's not a long book, barely 200 pages, but it'll stick with you for a lifetime. And if you have read it, revisit it, share it, talk about it. Because in a world that's quick to sell us shallow fixes, Frankl offers something deeper, a reason to keep going. This has been the story of Viktor Frankl and Man's Search for Meaning, a book born in the ashes of despair that lights a path for us all. Thanks for joining me on this journey. What's your meaning? Let's figure it out together.